We are joined on the line by Mohammed El Amin, a Sudanese journalist working with a number of local and international publications. Mohammed, good evening, and thank you so much for joining us on The Globe.
Good evening, you're welcome.
Now, Mohammed, what's the latest with regards to the journalist who has been, detained? But what are the details with regards to his being detained?
Yes, actually, Mr. al-Rizaigi has been arrested actually amid campaign against the Islamists and some faces of the old regime. That's what the Transitional Military Council (TMC) said before yesterday when they declared a military coup that the Islamists were stood behind and arrest a lot of the Islamists from the and others. Other pro-Islamists from the military and from the security organs. So amid this atmosphere, that the arrest of the chairman of the Sudanese Journalists Union happened. So Mr. Rizaigi is still now in prison, and to give a little bit background about this arrest, also we should say that al-Rizaigi has been worked for a newspaper. He's chief editor of a newspaper that owned by the TMC deputy chairman and the RSF leader Muhammad Hamdan Himeti. So he did work with Himeti as an assistant, as media assistant, and is chief editor of his newspaper. And so we don't know actually what the dramatic change happened, that why from assistant to be arrested. But that's to give a little bit, to highlight about the chairman of the Sudanese Journalists Union himself.
Now, with regards to his being detained, does it have any connection with the coup attempt, where we've seen a lot of senior military or army chiefs being detained or arrested because of a foiled coup that allegedly took place early in the month?
Yes, actually the TMC itself, the leaders of the TMC, including the army and security and militia leaders, were part of Bashir's regime. So and they did that the palace coup, or whatever we can say, what happened on April 11. So they ousted Bashir, and so that it's part of Bashir's regime. So now there is a kind of conflict of interest between the old guard of the Islamists and the old guard of Bashir inner circles and the new rulers who are now the TMC leaders. So this conflict of interest is actually extended to everything from the economy to the media, to the control of the media, to investment, and to the security, to everything in the country. So among this atmosphere, now we see that these alleged military coups, and it's not the first one. Now it's like more than 4 military coups since Bashir has been ousted, and this one is the second military coup within only this July. So it's like a kind of preventive measures by the TMC, maybe against the old Islamists who were all together. They were all in one party before, in one side before, and they are all pro Bashir's regime. So now this conflict of interest is being deepened, and these two parties now are they have made a lot of calculations with each other, and in this atmosphere that this military coups has been announced, and the number of the senior army officers and the security organs and others who've been arrested is a lot. It's dozens of leaders being arrested since Wednesday night. And this is actually part of the conflict among the factions of regime, that now they are trying to every side trying to reshape the scene, and this is the kind of how they want every side is want to shape the post-Bashir period. to protect their interest and to save whatever they have from the old regime, the two sides actually.
Now, Mohammed, during Omar al-Bashir's tenure as the leader of Sudan, in terms of media freedom, there wasn't much media freedom in the country. The press was marginalized. Is Sudan heading in the same direction where a journalist is arrested outside their offices without anyone really knowing why they're being detained, firstly, and where they are being detained? What's the situation with regards to that? Are we going to see continued press marginalization in Sudan?
Yes, exactly. Actually, the situation is worse than the time of what happened by Bashir's time, because we all the world know that the TMC has cut down the internet. Sudan was in blackout of internet for more than a month, and even there is a lot of kind of pre-censorship during the time of the internet cut, because most of the people, they know the news from the newspapers and also from the TVs. Also, some offices of the international and regional TVs have been also closed, like Al Jazeera office in Khartoum and others. So and you see now even the head of the Sudanese Journalists Union himself, although the guy, he was being accused by the journalist, I mean by the basis of the journalist, that he was part of the old regime, but whatever, I mean the affiliation of the guy, but it's unacceptable because he's a journalist at end, and he shouldn't be arrested because of his opinion, maybe. Mm-hmm. So the situation is really going worse. It's in the same direction of what was happening during Bashir's regime, and maybe worse than that time, because now most of the the framework of justice and the legal in the country is unclear, because the TMC now, Sudan, is under some exceptional laws. I mean, it's ruled by exceptional laws. So everything is gloomy actually, because even the institutions, the old institutions of the security and this stuff, is now working under the intelligence of the military. So it's a lot of things in the country is being militarized, and even the media now is working under these executive orders being issued by the TMC, not the laws. So if the new government, I mean the transitional government, will not going to be formed soon, the situation will go in actually to more worse scenarios.
Now, Mohammed, let's now shift focus and look at the power sharing deal agreement that was agreed upon, today with regards to the TMC and the opposition coalition having signed or agreed on a power sharing deal. Is this going to last? Are they going to be able to share power? Because seemingly they move a few steps forward and in the process then reach some sort of disagreements and have to go back to the negotiating table.
Yes, actually, the agreement that being signed between TMC and the FFC opposition alliance is already fragile and weak, actually, and we expect from the beginning that it may not going to be. It's not a kind of implementable, I mean, agreement. It's happened under the high pressure from the regional mediators and from the international community. So since they signed, a lot of voices now are rejecting this. The rebel movements in the country, and it's very important political figure in the country. And other parties, the leftist parties, also rejected the agreement. So, and you see that in the opposition alliance was in like internal negotiations with the rebels in Addis Ababa, that talks that ended 2 days ago, in order to talk about the power sharing after the rebels to voice concern about that they've been ignorance from the power sharing deal. So it's still a lot of questions about the agreement or the part of the agreement that's been signed, what they call the declaration, the political declaration. Now, the mediator has called for resumption of the talks tomorrow, Saturday, and they will going to talk about the constitutional declaration. And I think that it's more decisive and difficult, and the areas of disagreement regarding the constitutional declaration is much more than the political declaration, and there are a lot of details of disputes. So the two sides will enter these talks tomorrow with actually a lot of obstacles and a lot of troubles actually from within the opposition alliance, and even the TMC is also facing a lot of troubles because of the coup attempt, what they allege the coup attempt that happened in the past days. Actually, the TMC is trying to tell the opposition that it's better you conclude this agreement quickly with us before the counter-revolution can topple all of us. It's a kind of blackmailing from the TMC to the opposition that they're supposed to conclude the agreement quickly before the counter-revolution actually topple the entire regime.
Now, Mohammed, very quickly, just in wrapping up, do you think that with regards to people being back on the streets, professionals also vowing to continue until what they're looking for is implemented with regards to the political deal, can turmoil be contained in Sudan after, the scenes of lots of people on the streets being injured and some even losing their lives?
Yes, a lot. As I told you, a lot of political sides, a lot of political bodies, and not only the political bodies, even the youth movements, for example, and the university students. I mean, the new generations, they are not convinced at all of the agreement that's been signed. So there is only 2 days ago there is a march. It's a landmark march for me because the thousands of youth from youth movements and university students, they marched towards the Sudanese Professional Association headquarters in Khartoum. The SPA, the trade union coalition. They marched there and raised slogans and chanting against the agreement and calling for the SPA to withdraw from such agreement. So it's a really landmark march. Means that now the new generations who are played the major role in the revolution, actually now they are rejecting the agreement. Another thing that the justice is something important for this revolution. I mean, to bring the perpetrators of the killing of the people who killed the protesters to justice. And now the TMC actually is scooped against that agreement of. The article of agreement said that they're supposed to form an independent national committee to probe the massacre that happened on June 3rd, when more 100 people killed in few hours. So only tomorrow, the general prosecutor actually will going to announce the results. They will declare the results of the investigation committee, and that's actually is against what they agreed, or what the TMC agreed on with the opposition, because they agreed that they're supposed to form an independent national committee, but this committee is actually a part of the. It's a committee that belongs. It's like a unilateral investigation, because this committee is actually part of the TMC. It has been appointed by the TMC. So that means now the TMC is want like to hide something, and the transparency of the investigation regarding the killing of the protesters is something very crucial for the protesters. So unless this committee will going to be formed again with the same conditions of the transparency and independent kind of orientation, the protests will not going to stop at all.
Mohammed, we'll have to leave it there for now. Thank you so much for joining us. That is Mohammed El Amin, a Sudanese journalist working with a number of local and international publications, joining us there.